Do you know who Gary McKinnon is, friends? A year ago, I made a video on Gary. This is actually Vitalik, but this is Gary. Gary McKinnon. He is an absolute weapon
video today
of a human being. What did he do? A long time ago, friends, years ago, back in 2001, Gaza hacked the US government. Right? It was very early days of the interwebs. So this is Gaza, and this is his mother. Now, Gaza, I've seen him do some interviews recently. What a beast of the guy. Wait till you hear this story, friends. You got to hear this again, okay? You got to hear this again. Gaza, he's autistic. So his brain, you know, autists, right? When they want to find something out or figure something out, they can put the pieces of the puzzle together. Gaza hacked NASA from his home in London in 2001. So the fact that he hacked NASA from London and, you know, this UFO story, friends, I'm already going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you how it ends so you know to pay attention. How does it end? It ends with them trying to kill him, trying to silence him, and trying to take him out. So you're like, oh, so it was all true then. That's how it ends. What did he find on the US government, NASA computers? He found, friends, I know, by the way, no excuses for people. If you don't believe this, okay, I get it. It's going to be outlandish, but hey, you're going to have to wrestle with that yourself. He found evidence on alien spaceships. He also found evidence on their computers of a deal treaty made between aliens and humans. Aliens! Now, the whole treaty, friends, the treaty actually, it has a lot of lore and story. And a lot of, I think Tucker Carlson has alluded to it. David Grush has spoken about it, you know, UFO leaker, whistleblower. But the treaty, I think it goes back to Eisenhower, US president. And basically, I'm not 100% sure on the timing of events, but I think what ends up happening is we basically started blowing up stuff with the nukes. And we started blowing up stuff, and we got a visit. We got a visit. Some flying saucers come out. They basically say, hey, we want to speak to your leader. And I think Eisenhower, I think it was him, one of the US presidents, funnily enough, on that day, friends, his journal entry, the official excuse said, he said, oh, he had a toothache. He had to do an emergency flight out of where he was for a toothache. People, I mean, like, you don't have old alternative news sources back then. So, yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, Gary ended up figuring this out, how to get in, right? He ended up just figuring out where to download all the files, and he could read all of it. Now, I want to let you know that he hacked a lot of government websites. He hacked everything. So what I'm presenting to you today is, so the fact that he found alien spaceship stuff, and there's maybe all kooky stuff too here, and the deal treaty made between aliens and humans, he's got that. There are a lot of other boring things. He basically hacked everything. Okay, it's just that this is the, he got NASA. What was in the NASA part? Okay. And yes, the USA did demand to get him extradited so they could jail him for life. All right, so he lives in the UK, London, right? Check this out. Quick video.
Stumbled on unedited satellite images of, as he said, out-of-this-world flying objects.
Looked like a satellite. It was cigar-shaped. It had geodesic domes above, below, to the left, to the right, and both ends of.
He failed to download the photos since they were too big, and his dial-up 56K modem was too slow. He even found Excel spreadsheets named Non-Terrestrial officers, with US Air Force personnel names that didn't exist anywhere. But soon afterwards, things went downhill. He was accused of hacking into 97 US military and NASA computers.
So, yeah, man. That's crazy, dude. On you, Gary. That was awesome. Oh, you better believe that they beefed stuff up after that, the security. So what did he actually find? He found an online NASA book. You download it, right, friends? But it was 56K modem. Remember back then, you're trying to download a song on Napster. If it was 4 megabytes, it takes so long just to download. Everyone's using Kazaa. I've seen all the memes, right? So basically, every family household, their computer breaks down. Why? Because the kid gets access to Kazaa and just starts downloading random viruses and everything. Back then, pre-crypto days, everything's just exploding, right? Gaza found an online NASA book. There were 400 testimonials, 400 testimonials of air traffic controllers who are responsible for handling USA's nuclear weapons. So everyone around the nukes, right, they collected like, oh, we've got 400 journal entries. We got visited, stuff happened. By the way, there are plenty of reports now of people on a US base. They are soldiers themselves, where they will describe in the base, I think underground or maybe overground, whatever, a UFO ship appears. And the ship basically flies over like the central control unit, and it will activate the nuclear codes and then just basically stop it again and just basically and just disappear. So we don't know how to interpret that, but people are kind of like thinking, like a lot of soldiers, they say, hey, we got the idea that they're like, hey, little monkeys, we can see what you're doing. You better not blow anything up. I'm going to put this thing on and then I'm going to turn it off. Also, there was a lot of scientists who would write about that and they would say, it's kind of funny, man, scientists, but God bless his hearts. They say, this is an impossibility. By the way, it was scientists who witnessed it themselves because they're like, something weird and erroneous happened. It's impossible for these connections to be made. So basically, they're basically flipping out. Like, hey, how did this happen? I don't know, bro. Maybe they're only 1 million years of technology ahead of us. Dude, can you imagine, friends? Think about how insane it is that you and I can speak on like a phone, okay? Think about that, friends. Can you imagine if you and I went back 400 years ago? We're back 400 years ago. It's like the Middle Ages. Okay, everyone's eating pumpkins, and we've got Braveheart story movie playing out in Scotland. They're fighting over the castles. Okay, we go there. You know, everyone's basically rolling around in mud. You see all those, and everyone's eating potatoes. Sweet. If you go back in time and you have your phone, think about how much of a god you appear if I also had a phone and I was like feeding you information about stuff. Think about that. And no one knows what this phone is. Like, you know how to use it and no one else could see you using it. They would think you're a god. You have infinite wisdom. Like, this person knows everything about the whole world, right? That's 400 years ago. Okay, roll forward 4,000 years. It's always interesting to me. People just, how can you be so self-centered, man? Like, you really think that it's impossible for us to be these zoo animals and a zookeeper to be on top? Why is that impossible? We do that to monkeys, okay? We're the zookeepers, and the monkeys are throwing around poop and bananas and altcoins. So Gary, right? So Gary here, this is Gary, okay? See this cigar-shaped UFO ship? This is a very, very common ship that they see. Very common out here. Now, I don't know if it's US Army built or that's McAliens built, but in that testimonials, right? So a lot of the nuclear weapons handlers, they had all the testimonials, and that was basically in their journals. They spoke of reverse engineered tech taken from alien craft, which is just like, friends, this literally corresponds to Bob Lazar, David Grush. This corresponds to literally, I mean, like, if you don't even believe this now, there's something wrong with you. It's like, okay, people in different countries, the autistic guy, the non-autistic guy, people in different time frames, in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 80s, in the 2000s, all around, different languages everywhere. They're all saying, oh yeah, USA's got reverse engineering tech. Every government's trying to figure it out. By the way, here's all these leakers. And then we have Coconut Intelligence Agency and government agents who are on their deathbed, who die and pass away, say the exact same thing. Plus, we have people who take these things to their grave, and their own children will go and find their journals from the attic, and they'll go, oh my gosh, Dad wasn't actually a government teacher. He was actually like a science worker in Americana, one of the labs. That's happened many, many times as well, where like the grandchildren will find something in the attic and they're like, hey, We found Dad's lab coat thing, and he never told us he worked here. That's a common thing as well. People will find out, you know. One of the famous cases, friends, was actually, it was a very controversial, right? It was a doctor. It was a surgeon. And this is, I've got to show you this video later on. There's one alien video that it hasn't been debunked, okay? And it hasn't been debunked. And actually, in the alien video, there's gloves who are holding up the alien. And I think people were able to identify either the guy's hand or his coat or something. And the family was able to, the family recognized that was their dead father's hand. And he worked for the government, but when they talked about it, they basically said, Dad said he worked for the government, but he never told us he was doing that type of secret work. He must have kept his past secret. So they're living all these double lives, which makes sense because they try to kill you. I mean, like, just try to extradite Gary here and try to send him to jail. So pretty much everyone's sworn to secrecy. I mean, like, they try to put a bullet in Donald Trump's head. Just saying, you know what I mean? If Donald Trump's not immune, no one's immune. You know what I mean? What else did Gary find, friends? He found, this is the killer. He found unedited photos from NASA. And they had an edited photos section. So just to let you know, friends, Neil deGrasse Tyson, more like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and all these other science guys, they're paid shields, just to let you know. They're on the payroll of the US government and NASA. And there are examples in history where scientists were paid shields from the government, and only after their death, their children or their wife or whatever would end up finding out that their pay packet had basically money coming in from the government. So they're like, oh, you were being paid secretly by NASA to basically just tell everybody not to believe in aliens, and we can't, this physics is beyond us. We're not allowed to think like that, right? Friends, it's literally like, okay, imagine you're a slave owner. You have 20 slaves, and you want to keep your slaves working for you your whole life. And someone out there just invented a car. And you're like, ooh, cars can take you all around the world or all around the country. But you don't want your little slaves to know what a car is. So all you'll tell them is, no. Cars don't exist. The fastest way for you to travel is a tricycle. All this car talk, it doesn't exist. You think, oh, there's some big machine that is somehow able to take you 500 kilometers without getting tired. No. It doesn't exist. You see that? It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. So they always have to be a step ahead. And their excuse is national security, of course, because they always think us humans are going to blow each other up. And they might be right. They might be right. So NASA friends, they edit their photos, just to let you know. You know, all the stars and all the like the Century and the rainbow things, and then Mars, they edit everything. They edit Mars. Funnily enough, Mars friends, this is gonna trip you out. You know Mars, right? You see how NASA makes it look more orangey. You see how it looks like orangey, like, oh, it's another world. It's something. I don't know, it looks like a big fat willy, actually. This is on Mars. Someone drew a dick butt. That's funny. Someone actually drew a giant willy on Mars. Wow. Rover, what are you doing over there? Look. Family-friendly show. I know. What they do for the Mars photos is they make it look more alien, worldly on purpose. The real Mars, friends, looks Earth-esque. It does. It doesn't look as orangey like that. It looks like you could live on it. Now, I'm not saying you can live on Mars, of course, no atmosphere and stuff, but it makes you wonder why. Why do they do that? And that's why a lot of the speculation is that they found stuff on Mars, which has human civilizations. By the way, you know the Bible, everyone talks about Mars, that people used to live there. There's a lot of stories and stuff. Remember, even John McMoneagle, friends, the psychic, the Coconut Intelligence Agency remote viewer #1, he was asked to remote view 1 million years ago Mars, and he basically remote viewed into this giant pyramid structure, and basically it's uninhabitable now. There was a great war over there, and there's a lot of evidence to show that. By the way, they've also gone there and checked. I think there's xenon on Mars, friends, xenon, and the only way for you to get that is nuclear explosions from nuclear weapons. Explain that. Explain that. What's their science? Literally, the stars don't even make this, by the way. They don't even make these specific chemicals blowing up. It doesn't even happen naturally. So that's crazy, right? That's crazy. By the way, they also have it, I think, in Africa as well. So also it leads to the law that maybe people were here millions of years ago, older and more ancient. So you can see all these stories, they're kind of tying up. So first they're just stories. Then Gary goes into NASA and they're like having to edit the photos. NASA edit the photos, friends. They remove structure looking like stuff on Mars. They remove them. So people can't see that there's stuff there. NASA's part of Deep State, by the way. They're like Deep State Squared, which is funny. They always pretend like, oh, we love science, everybody. Come jump on my rocket. That's not a rocket. That's not a rocket. I think you're just excited to see me. Now, interestingly enough, Gary also got access to one of their Excel spreadsheets. All right. Can you believe this, by the way? Man, Gary, what a champion. This is going to blow your mind. On NASA's Excel spreadsheet, one of them was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers, which means not of this earth. And it contained names and ranks of US Air Force people with a twist. Those people are not registered anywhere. They don't have an identity. Explain that for me. Explain that for me. We do have the explanation now. Obviously, friends, that's why they walk among us. Yeah, man. We put robot monkeys in the jungle to see if they can sling some poop and eat some bananas with them and just see what it's like hanging out with them. Okay. I guess if we can do that already, and we've basically only discovered electricity a couple of hundred years ago. All right, we'll roll this forward 10,000 years. I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination to think some, intraterrestrial, interdimensional, whatever the hell, wherever they're coming from. Okay, inside, outside, left, right, aliens. Okay, it could be Anunnaki, could be us in the future. A lot of theories. Whatever they are, they're watching us. They have people here, probably in government, probably around. Friends, maybe we've walked past some of them. Okay? I mean, we know Vitalik exists. You see? Like, I don't think it's that controversial to admit that perhaps just some things are occurring on Earth that we just don't understand fully. And we're not meant to understand yet because our brains can't handle it. Because if we did, we'd probably blow each other up. Right? Friends, we fight over football teams, You think we're not going to fight over anti-gravity? Of course we will. Interesting though, yeah. So there are names and ranks of officers in the US that don't even exist anywhere here. Oh, clearly, that's probably what's going on. They have their own watchmen, They have their own people just keeping track, making sure everything's all right. Maybe they have abilities just to check out, hey, make sure that guy doesn't skits, or just make sure we have a close eye on the humans. Because we don't want to see them blow each other up. Because what a waste of 1 million years of bioengineering that would be, right? That would be funny. He also, on this Excel sheet, friends, he found information. NASA had ship-to-ship transfers. But then they went and looked up the ships. Not registered anywhere. The ships don't exist. Friends, it's called black budget. Like, we know that, okay? That's when the government, everything on that US balance sheet, anything they want you to see, okay, it's there. So everything they don't want you to see, it's not on there. All right? They don't like Bitcoin public ledger stuff. That's why the US government never going to put everything on there, because you have to track everything. If they did have that, they have their own other blockchain where they just move all their money around. That's it. So even if the people demanded like a public currency blockchain, US government, I guarantee they'll make their own private one. And they'll have everything settling on the public one. And then everything they need to do black budget, transfer the money out, do whatever they want, and then just print this fake money to pretend that it's squared off. So it is what it is, right? So this is Gary. Now, Gary, right, on his own hacked NASA computers, found evidence suggesting US alien collaboration. The fallout and aftermath were dealt with publicly. This is where it gets a bit nuts, all right? But that was the most nuts. But this is where it's like, okay, it was real. It was real. So Gary, right, after he read all the information and everything, he said the US military wanted to have military dominance of space. Interesting, because I remember Donald Trump's Space Force that comes out, which is exactly that. Interesting, United States Space Force. Huh, that's not a coincidence at all. Event, that's what they do, right? It starts off, hey, let's introduce this joke because it's all planned. You know, it's all planned. Yeah, that's what it is, friends. Friends, it's literally, okay, if you have a child, you got a daughter, okay, she's 4 years old, and then you go move to another house. That's how you're able to buy another house. Let's say crypto hits 600K, 600K Bitcoin. All right, you have to buy another house. But your daughter's only 4 years old. You're thinking in your mind, one day she'll be 18. She's going to need her own room. You know what I mean? She's going to need her own bathroom. She might even need her own car to get around. So what you do is you plan ahead of time. Oh, I'm going to buy a new house. Oh yeah, your daughter, maybe her name is like Jessica. Jessica's going to need her own room and bathroom. So let's build the bathroom now because we're going to need it as she gets older, right? When she's like, 13, 14. Heading on to 18. All right. But then Jessica comes out. She's like, whoa, how did you know the foresight that I was going to need a bathroom when I get older? You see, you get the point. See how easy for us to say, like, oh, duh. Well, that's pretty much what might be happening here where it comes to on a longer time frame, okay, the insiders, the deep state, who some say, friends, they're non-human intelligence themselves. There's influence there themselves. They know the plot for the next 1,000 years. You and I don't know that because our lifespan's so short, right? Whether it's deliberate or not deliberate, that's the topic for another conversation. But yeah, we have a lifespan too short. You and I can't see that, but we are all one collective consciousness. But if you could stretch us out to one being of thought for the next 1,000 years, you're like, oh, duh. You know what I mean? The next thing that's coming is XYZ, right? Fake alien invasion or not. Or we're going to expand out there, discover more physics. So that's what's coming. All right, now it starts to make sense. But when you just fed a breadcrumb and, hey, did you see Taylor Swift's new song? You know what I mean? And, oh, there's a burning cat. Sorry, there's a burning tree and a cat's got to be rescued out of it. Not a burning cat, friends. We love kitties. Okay, you see what I mean? So, yes, to the person who's basically TikTok generation minded, they can't see anything. But if you just take a step back, you're like, oh, I see the forest. Yes. Now, Gary, friends, Gary here, you see all these people around him outside of court. He got arrested in 2002 and they raided his home and stole his hard drive and they sent it to the USA. So UK, right? Obviously, the Poms got a call from the Yanks and they go, hey, get this autistic kid and delete everything immediately. This is like an emergency. And they did. And they tried to jail him for 70 years. Far out, 70 years. Whoa. The government made it impossible for him to find a job in IT. All he did, he said, well, by the way, there's ship-to-ship transfers. There are aliens in the US ranks. There was a deal treaty of the aliens. Basically, all the stuff that all the UFO law was rumoring about for the 40 years leading up to that point. These were all rumor stuff, and he found it on there. He found it on there. It's not even all rumor stuff. There are confirmations from stuff. There's a lot of different words and documents. There are things that have been leaked that do that. It's not like some one guy just imagined it, right? So Gary was almost a dead man. All right. Pink Floyd, the band, right? Is it a band or is it one dude? Pink Floyd. So Mr. Pinky made a song about Gary as well. Okay. So I promise you right now, if he was not popular, they would have put 3 bullets in the back of his head and they would have called it a suicide. Just like they did to the guy who had evidence on the Coconut Intelligence Agency drug trafficking in the US state of Arkansas with Bill Clinton and Senior George Bush, right? They were dealing the cocaine drug war stuff. They were funneling it through and they were doing all the money laundering stuff. So he had the evidence on that. And then He was due to give testimony in 2 weeks. They put 2 bullets in the back of his head. And they said, suicide. By the way, no one's allowed to look at it anymore. Move on with your lives. Okay, that's what would have happened to Gary. But Pink Floyd made a song about him and tried to help protests to keep him in the UK. So the US government was actually, they were demanding him, like, get this guy in. We're taking him to jail for life because we want to make sure no one else does this ever again, right? So that's Gary in his backyard, saved by Theresa May. So, oh, man, he escaped. Bless your heart, sir. Theresa May, right? Very controversial UK politician, very strong, right? Very strong. I think she was called the Iron Lady. Theresa May blocked the extradition and she helped keep him in the country. So something happened there. Obviously, he got too popular, friends. That's what it is. He got too popular. Pink Floyd made a song about you, you know, and he's just an autistic kid. They looked at him. They're like, oh, man, if we keep going after him, they're going to know. They're going to know. So Theresa May helped save Gary from his imminent death. And yeah, friends, it is true, right? Gary, he's autistic, born on the spectrum. He hacked all those US government's information, right? All those officers. But obviously, the NASA part was the most powerful part. So all of these add up to this whole globalist agenda thing. Globalist agenda. Remember, friends, globalist agenda. You hear that from Alex Jones. And how do you wrestle with it? Well, it might be an inevitability. All right, yeah, they're gonna have to subdue us. Testosterone levels go down. They're trying this whole transhumaning stuff. Half android, half humans. Yeah, we're losing our humanity over time. 1% every year. So we're basically just a bunch of robot androids, just like the Matrix. And maybe we're just one big interconnected consciousness and we're like losing what actually made us human from the start, but maybe it's to advance human civilization. Okay. So I think that's true, but even though I know it's true, I'm like, all right, bro, well, that's 1,000 years. And what you gave me a 50-year lifespan from here. So how about I don't give a shit and I'm going to keep punting crypto for my number go up because I don't want to be the rat spinning its wheels in the cubicle with everyone else in there. Okay, so that's pretty much the game. So all the people who know, okay, it's eventually a losing game. Okay, keep getting your mortgages, keep getting brainwashed by the deep state media. Keep doing that, okay? And hopefully live a nice life. For everyone else in crypto, we know it's a better life for everyone else out there, okay? And just to throw something out there as well, friends, you hear terms like breakaway civilization with these NASA leaks, right? NASA leaks, it's funny. Lies. Okay, see all these images out here, there's lies. They're literally a bunch of lies. There's full on everything's lying here. And this breakaway civilization, when I first heard it, I'm like, nah, no way. There's been some stories, man. There's been some stories. Breakaway civilization. Where did they go? Is it underground? Is it another planet? I don't know. Another time? We can't even comprehend that. But stuff's going on. They have the tech. They've been using the tech. And they've been trying to tell everybody, oh, no, we haven't reverse engineered anything. We can't figure it out. I think they figured out some stuff. If you don't believe NASA's lying, check this out, right? Look how much they photoshopped their images. NASA's official Earth image 2012. NASA's official Earth image 2013. All right, so they change stuff all the time. Now, I don't know if this is I don't think this is a flat Earth picture, but it's just the amount of remember they're so overly controlling. They want to control everything. There's like no free will. Kind of like, it's literally, friends, like a slave owner. He's like, oh, I better not let the slaves write anything with a pen because a pen can be used to rob a bank. It's a sharp, pointy tip. You see what I mean? See how extreme that is, right? That's the feeling you get with all this government stuff. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all stuck in the system. We can't do anything. Like, if you want to escape the system, hey, you're in crypto. But yeah, shout out to Gary out here, man. Shout out to Gary. What a boss. What a soldier. There are interviews of him out there. I might watch some new ones. Yeah, it's like... See, friends, this is the stuff that crypto influencers, they should be talking about stuff like this. So you go, hey, man, this money printer stuff, it goes way deeper and way wider than you could ever imagine. That's all money printer stuff. Who funds NASA? Who funds the Kia, the Phoebe? Who's funding all these agencies? It's the money printer. They're not going away. And they have a lot to hide. And they got to make sure China and Russia, nobody else figures it out. So they are going to spend exponentially large amounts of money on infinite R&D to make sure they can get the edge. Like, friends, imagine you were the president and I told you, okay, man, what's the debt? 35 trillion. All right, we can make anti-gravity tech. Problem, though, is based on our resources, it's going to take us about 20 years and we have to spend about 10 trillion a year. And you might say, oh, it's too much money. You go, okay, do you know what anti-gravity tech is? You can literally stop any weapon that ever penetrates your armor. Anything just repels off. You know that, right? Number one. Number two, if somebody else, another nation, develops this anti-gravity tech before us, they can literally steamroll into New York City and we won't be able to do anything. They literally wipe us clean. So what are you going to do as a president? Say, oh no, don't print the money. Don't print the money. They're going to print the money, all right? You see all this stuff going on in the background, friends? This is the 21st century arms race that we're really in. It's just that it's the biggest unkept secret, right? You're not allowed to know about it. What do you think about that story? Do you think there's merit to it? Look, friends, I know there's something weird. 2001, he hacked it. They tried to send him in jail. 70 years, they wanted to kill him. They tried to kill him. He couldn't get a job. He's autistic, trying to like literally sabotage him. Actions speak louder than words. Make sure you like, subscribe.